is, hey, how come it's been 5 years since you wrote a book? I've been busy, all right? I finished up a show called Good Eats, which you might remember, and... really? There are Good Eats fans here? Let me see a show of hands of Good Eats fans. I have one word for you. Sequel. But, I'm going to make two promises. One, it will not be on television. It will be on the interwebs.
Cool.
Two, it'll be better than the last Star Wars. Which means that it'll be different than the old Good Eats. So there you go. So that's happening.
You need any production assistance?
Hit a nerve. Great. You never know with folks. So that's going to be happening. I also made 200 episodes of a show called Cutthroat Kitchen, which I've gotten a lot of criticism for being a bad person. And I'm not. I'm just exercising my bad side, which makes me a lot more pleasant the rest of the time because I've gotten it all out of my system. I also have been touring a live stage show. Some of you may have seen last time we were here. We played at Phillips Center, and we're going to be back in the spring with a new show. So that's been a lot of fun. We've got a CD of our show tunes coming out in November. I never thought I'd say the word, I have a CD of show tunes coming out. Yeah, but there you go. So I've been a little bit busy, but I wanted to come back to writing another book because I realized that after all this time, I'd never really made a book of food that was personal. I mean, I've written 7 books before now, but they've always been associated one way or the other with a TV show. Even my very first books, I'm Just Here for the Food and I'm Just Here for More Food, were written during the time that I was making Good Eats. So they were all kind of in my head at one time. And I never did something really personal. So I decided to set out to write a book that was kind of a self-portrait, if you will, of who I am on a plate, so to speak. And so because of that, there were a few things that I did in this book that are a little bit different, but are very much me. One, okay, here's another question. Why is the book called Everyday Cook? One, I'm an everyday cook. I'm not a chef. I don't think of myself as a chef. I don't have a tall white hat, and I don't tend to scream at people. Or throw pots and pans and have hissy fits.
It says on Cutthroat Kitchen.
Sorry? No, I let that happen on Cutthroat Kitchen, but I don't do it. I don't actually do it. I criticize with my eyes on Cutthroat Kitchen. I was like, you're really going to do that? Huh. And then their lives are over. It doesn't matter. I also called it Everyday Cook because the book is full of recipes for everyday cooking. They're everyday recipes. By the way, I'm sorry about the heat. If anybody passes out, we'll catch you. The other thing is that I believe in cooking every day. I think that it is really important to cook whenever you can. And so that leads into another question, which is, why did I arrange the book by time of day? Well, because that's just how I am. I think about cooking in a 24-hour period. There are days when I get up and I'm like, I want to cook in the morning. You know, we as Americans, we tend to only cook at night. We're like, we eat crap all day long and then we spend 6 hours a night making cassoulet or something, right? So I was like, well, there are times when I want to get up and really cook in the morning, and there are times I want to cook in the middle of the day. So I thought, I'm going to arrange these recipes, which are really personal, by time of day, by the time that I make them. And because of that, some hopefully interesting things come out of it. You know, I make pasta for breakfast. And you're welcome. You know, breakfast carbonara is a thing now, and I hope that you guys will try that. But there are also things that I only make really, really late at night, and so those are in there, and I'll arrange by the time of day. The recipes are completely personal. It's what I eat, and I say in the introduction, if you came to my house, odds are, and we were going to eat, it would be one of these recipes. But now that you have the book, you don't have to come over. Make it at your house and everybody will be good. Interesting though is that all the recipes that I've ever done, and I have no idea of the count of how many recipes I've written for TV shows and books, thousands certainly, but they've always been made from scratch. You know, it's like you start with a clean sheet of paper. But these, I mean, I have scribbled these recipes. If you go to my apartment, all the inside cabinet doors of my kitchen cabinets have pencil marks on the inside because I scribble the recipes on the inside of the cabinets. I mean, it looks like Kevin Spacey's character from Seven could live there because I've scribbled on everything. You know, like bathroom mirrors got Sharpie on it. You know, it's not healthy. But in translating those, or trying to rewrite all of those recipes, personal recipes that I've made a lot for a book, for other people to cook, is actually a lot harder than coming up with brand new recipes because it's so easy to make mistakes. And indeed, there are mistakes in this book. I have found 5 so far, which is a little humiliating. They're not super big, but I suggest that anybody here that gets the book tonight, go home. Everybody have the internet? We all have the internet? Everybody got a printer? Got a printer? Well, you don't have to have a printer. You just don't. Go to altonbrown.com/oops. OOPS, altonbrown.com/oops, and you will see the 5 corrections that you need to make to your book. Well, look at it this way. We're going to fix it in the next printing, so you've got a collector's item. Yeah. In a few years on eBay, you'll be like, well, do you have the edition with the mistake on page 74? And you'll be special because of that. It'll be a trivia question, and it'll be wonderful. The other big question, and maybe the very, very biggest question that I've gotten, several thousand of these in the time the book's been out, is why the heck would you shoot a book with an iPhone? Every photograph in the book was shot with an iPhone 6S Plus. You know why? Because that's what I had. I was not trying to be gimmicky. I mean, hopefully you like them. It was the first time I've actually done photographs for a book. In the past, they've always either been sketches or we've stolen them from frame grabs from television. And the reason that I did it is, number one, I wanted to use a tool that we all have. I imagine just about everybody here has a flip phone. There are probably, not a flip phone, a smartphone. There are a few people with flip phones, but they live like with a lot of cats. And do you have a flip phone, sir?
No.
No? Okay, good. Yeah. You got a smartphone. But now you see flip phones, you're like, wow, they're so cool. They don't need to be on the internet. That's pretty powerful. So I wanted to use a tool that everybody had, and I wanted to use a tool that was very, very simple. One lens. Every photo in the book is taken from directly overhead, exactly, precisely overhead, which is typically considered to be a really difficult angle for shooting food. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to treat it like still lifes. I wanted to come up with very graphic compositions and figure out some really interesting ways to try to portray food the way I see it. And so I concentrated instead on what was really in front of the camera, and the lighting of what was in front of the camera. And I have some weird ideas about food on the table. For instance, if you notice the roasted salsa and chips, that's plated on a 1974 Mercury hubcap. I do that. There are crackers on one page are in a Kodak slide carousel. I do that. The breakfast carbonara is in a very, very old Army mess kit. That's what I use. So everything that you see in the book, those are my actual service pieces, whether it's plastic forks or serving enchilada pie with an ice cream scoop. That's just my stuff, and that's what I do. So I think what it comes down to in the end is if you don't like this book, you don't like me. Simple as that. And hopefully there won't be too much of that. The recipes, sometimes unusual. I've certainly come to grasp and embrace, in fact, some ingredients that I would have made fun of during the Good Eats days. There's a fair amount of quinoa in this book. There's amaranth in this book. There's chia seed in this book, because I've actually learned that they're pretty valuable tools to have in the kitchen, and I've come to really rely on them as I try to always kind of expand what I eat. So it's a self-portrait of where I am in this particular year of my life in a book, and that's scary. Because if you don't like it, you don't like me, as we've already stated. But that's okay too. So that's about all I've got to say. I want to take at least 20 minutes or so, if we can, until you get too hot or tired, answering your questions. I'll answer questions about anything that I know anything about. All I ask is that you raise your hand, and if I point at you, just do me a favor and shout out best as you can, and I'll kind of move around and try to do this. Let's start with you, man, with the glasses. Just shout out there.
Do you know your next Comic-Con cosplay?
Do I know my next Comic-Con cosplay? I am not ever going to Comic-Con again, ever in my life. How's that for a play? I've seen enough people in smelly Chewbacca pajamas to last the rest of my life. I didn't really have a whole lot of fun at Comic-Con. It was very crowded and very, my outfit was really uncomfortable. And what con? Oh, that's here, right? Well, I would rather come here because I live in Georgia, so it's an easier trip for me. Do I have to dress up in Chewbacca pajamas to come to that one? Good, then I'll come. And I'm not going to go to Dragon Con in Atlanta because that just scares me. I mean, it really, really kind of scares me. All right, how about the guy in the hat with the glasses?
On Cutthroat Kitchen, have you ever considered flipping it to where you judge and you have one of the judges host?
Have I ever thought on Cutthroat Kitchen of flipping things so that one of the judges hosts and I judge? Heck no. And I'm going to tell you why. I have two reasons. One, I don't want anybody to get a shot at a job I do. That's why I never allowed anybody to host Iron Chef America. Oh, which is coming back, by the way. The other reason, canned whole chicken. I've seen things, man. I could never come down those stairs and say, let's eat, because not only have I seen things, I've smelled things. And whole canned chicken has an aroma that I can't. Ma'am, how about you? Yeah, you with the short hair and the jacket. Go ahead.
So I remember reading an interview with you a long time ago where you said you don't think you're funny and your family and friends don't find you funny.
My family and friends do not find me funny. Whenever I try to be funny around family and friends, they all just look at me and kind of like, dude, don't. No. That's why, hell, I'm single again, you know? So I sit at home and crack jokes to the television, and it doesn't think I'm very funny either. So, no, I don't think of myself. Well, come on, it's Sunday night in Orlando. Who else is going to be funny? Is there another show in town that I don't know about? I think that there were things in Good Eats that were really funny, because I purposely tried to make that a funny show because I've always believed that laughing brains are more absorbent and that it's easier to teach people if you're entertaining them. And you know, the two things that everybody on planet Earth, and anthropologists, I talk about this a lot, there are two things that anthropologists say that all people groups on Earth want to do in a group environment. It doesn't matter how remote or how cosmopolitan, everybody wants to eat together and laugh together. So I consider those two things to be very closely aligned.
So I remember watching a YouTube video that you had done where you opened a bottle with a saber.
Yes, I did a YouTube video of savoring champagne bottles.
Whenever you do food tradition stuff, would you ever do something like that again?
Sure, but how many more things like, how many other things can you open with a saber? Like ketchup and, Oh, food traditions. Sure, I would do that. I can't imagine doing a whole series of like classic food moves that people don't do anymore that involve a sword. And by the way, the real trick to that, by the way, if you ever do it, is to make sure, and I think I said this in the video, French champagne bottles work much better than California bottles, because California bottles are thicker at the neck. How about over there? Yes, ma'am, the lady being held up by what I think is her father. Why are the puppets so bad in Good Eats? I'm sorry, I realize you're very young and that you don't realize that what you were trying to say was awesome. So what you're saying is my puppets suck? Is that what you're saying? I have bad? You can see the strings and the sticks and everything? Heck yeah, you can. You know why? It's always been part of like my style that things look like what they are. You know, those are socks. Those aren't yeast, they're socks. And those aren't antennas. They're pipe cleaners, you know? Somebody's like, what? So I do that on purpose. I mean, I'm not going to sit around all day and try to make Muppets. You know, I'm not that guy. You know, I'm the guy that's like, oh look, we put a stick here and do this. It's oh my gosh, it's all of a sudden a character. And it also says that tells people they can do it themselves, which is absolutely positively true. You raised your hand, sir.
Actually, I'm going to defer to this good-looking lady right here.
Same question.
Oh, very well. Proxy.
We share your love of vintage typewriters.
You like vintage typewriters? I have a bad problem with vintage
I know,
typewriters.
so we want to know what is your favorite, the ones that you own. What is your,
You know, of any of the line, it's the Hermes. It's the Hermes typewriters. Not like the luxury leather company, but the Hermes Rocket series portable typewriter is my favorite of all time.
You're the only other person we know that shares that.
I was raised around typewriters, and so I'm still comforted by that sound. And I pound the crap out of things when I type, so I like working with those. How about you, ma'am? Do I like being an author better than being on TV? No. Writing books is a gigantic pain in the butt. There's nothing fun about it because it's like raising really bad children. No matter how much love you pour into it, at the end of the day, it's just going to glare at you and tell you everything you did wrong. And it won't go away. It'll be like, it sits there, and every time I look at that, all I think is like, there are 5 mistakes in here. I'm like, shut up! Stop it! So no, they don't ever go away. You know, it's like you can turn off television, or you know, the show's over and you go off to something else. You know, the interwebs just flows over us. But that thing's, it's looking at me right now, isn't it? You know what I'm talking about? And so it's like you can't escape them. You know, once they're out, it's like, It's like the STD of media. You know, you can't ever unget it, you know, it's there. So books are hard, and they take a lot of time, which I'm not very patient. As soon as I'm done with a project, I want to move on to another project, but they're never done. The entire publishing industry is built on making it go forever. You know, it's like, oh, it's corrections number 12, stop it! But then obviously I needed corrections 13, didn't I? But didn't get that. There's so many hands that I can't, all right, you sir with the bow tie and the beard. Any plan? Well, Halloween is my favorite holiday. I adore Halloween. Very big on Halloween. We're currently in a 5-week Halloween tournament on Cutthroat Kitchen, which in their infinite wisdom, Food Network has decided to move to 11 o'clock on Wednesday nights. I have no idea why. I had nothing to do with it, set your DVRs. But last week I was Hannibal Lecter, and I was actually strapped into a straitjacket and a furniture dolly for the entire show, which seemed really creepy until Richard Blaze came out as Clarice. And just stole the show. You know, it's really hard to fight back with that. But things get worse. I'm an incredibly terrifying clown in one episode. I'm the wolf dressed up as a grandmother in one, and there's a couple I'm not going to talk about. I do a pretty great Beetlejuice in one episode, so I'm probably going to do a Beetlejuice thing because I stole the suit. So that'll be me this year, kind of the original undead. All right, you in the purple. Hi, what's up? Oh, quick, you go. Do you have it?
Have you ever thought of the kids being judged?
You mean having like kids be on Cutthroat Kitchen? Oh, I dream about it at night. Oh, no, not to be judges, to compete. I mean, you want to be a judge on Cutthroat Kitchen. You don't want to like compete on Cutthroat Kitchen. You want to be a judge? Have you not seen the whole canned chicken? Are you sure you want to eat that? You would do that?
She's seen every episode.
Really? All right, then I should probably have kid judges. I don't know how the law would look at that because, you know, yeah. I mean, I would go for that, and I would also definitely go for having kids as competitors because I would like to make them all cry. I would. I mean, every one of them. All right, go ahead. Did you get it now? Okay.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about doing a beauty queen episode on Cutthroat Kitchen?
No. No, that had never actually crossed my mind.
Or possibly even make like just a boy episode and make the boys wear high heels and walk around.
That would be called cross-dressing. We could certainly do that, and Richard Blaze would be sure to be on that show as well. We do have a high schooler show coming out. We do have a bunch of high schoolers competing, but they're all over 18 years of age because apparently the things I wanted to do couldn't be done to minors. In the state of California, which is rather restrictive, is all I'm going to say. So thank you for that question. Let's take one from over here. How about you, ma'am? In the M&M T-shirt.
How do you balance your spiritual life and your professional life?
I don't balance any of my life. I'm so out of balance that I can't even stand up hardly most of the time. I can't even answer that because I'm as out of whack as, I mean, anything could happen right now. I have no idea what I'll be doing. I don't know. I'm not balanced. Don't look to me for examples of balance. I mean, I'll walk to the car tonight, but that's outside of that. I wouldn't really trust me for a whole lot. All the way in the back. Yes, you with the big, full head of hair. Good Eats has been on DVD for quite a while. It's just not being re-released on DVD because Food Network wants you to have to watch it on Cooking Channel, which probably only 10% of you get. And they're also slowly rotating them through Netflix, which they're actually, I get postings on Facebook where people are like, oh, we love your new Netflix show. I'm like, that was shot in 1999, you know? But great, I'm glad you like it. How about you, ma'am?
Cutthroat Kitchen, will you have Navy versus Army again? Like a rematch?
We definitely will continue to do military, pitting one branch of the military against the other. But I have to tell you, so far, well, I won't tell you what I think about military cooking because there's one branch of the service that I think so far is smoking everybody, really. But I won't say. Which branch would you be rooting for?
We're a Navy family.
And Navy family would be probably the better eating families. Yeah, I think the Navy's probably got the best food. But we will continue to do that. We love having the military people. We've also got a first responders one.
Oh no.
So,
I'm sorry.
hey,
because I'm
did you rent that from a museum? Anyway, we'll definitely be doing that. All right, I'm going to take like 3 more. I see a kid with his hand up right there. Go ahead. What would maybe decide to cook? Girls. I'm serious, man. I could not get a date in college to save my life, but I found that girls that said no if you asked them out, if you offered to cook for them, sometimes that would work out. Not very often, but sometimes. Enough to actually get really good and committed to it. And then when I really decided to really cook as a hobby at first was that I made this very elaborate meal for a young lady that I was attempting to woo, and she called me up like in the middle of me making the meal and dumped me. And so I went ahead and I had to finish the meal, you know, because I was already, you know, and I was in it. And I got it done. I was kind of like, yeah, that was fun without her. So cooking for one, which continues to be what I do. Yes, back there. Yeah, you. Hey. You're as bad as the kid over here.
Stage right, sorry. Favorite cutthroat kitchen.
Sabotage. You're making me guess. Okay, Cutthroat Kitchen, here's the thing. Cutthroat Kitchen, all of the like big flashy sabotages are just mind games. They're not really that bad. They just freak people out. Like the Kitty Kitchen. The Kitty Kitchen is actually not that bad. You got everything you need. It's just kind of little. So I tend to really like the ones that I get to watch somebody really figure out how to work with. So things, for me, it's actually smaller things like the upside down wok. You have to make soup with an upside down wok and know you can't use foil. Watching people work that out. And actually during the bidding, I'll be able to see like somebody will get this little look in their eye when you know they figured it out and they stop bidding on it because they're not afraid of it anymore. And then getting to see what they would actually do. So something like that, and the crumpled up crepe pan terrifies me every time I see it because that's still one that I'm like, I just don't know. I don't know what I would do. So it's usually for me, it's the little ones. I like to see people solve real problems, not just tolerate something. You know, it's kind of like if we had a sabotage that was like, you're stuck wearing a coat made out of cats. Living cats are going to be all over your body. I mean, that would be hilarious, right? But it's not culinary related. It doesn't have anything to do with you figuring out food things. It just has to do with you trying to not bleed to death, which just isn't as much entertainment for me. All right, one more question and then we're going to walk. How about the lady right here? Go.
All right. So when you were young.
When I was young. Is that going to be the kind of question this is? Oh, jeez. All right, go ahead.
Was there a particular vegetable that you absolutely refused to eat, and what do you think of it now? Would you cook it now?
There was a vegetable I hated when I was a kid, and it was collard greens. But at the time, I was living in California where I was born, but my family was from North Georgia. So I hated collard greens until my family moved back to Georgia. And then I got like good collard greens, and then I liked them. But that was the only one. I never had problems with vegetation. The only food that I grew up now liking that I still don't like is beef liver, which I detest. And everybody keeps saying, well, you're just not doing it right. I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm doing it right. I'm pretty sure. You know, it's like, I like organ meat, but when the first bite makes you realize, wow, a cow pumped blood through this, then automatically I'm kind of like, don't know.